Very happy to introduce as our next presenter, Dale Harris. Dale is a resource executive with over 30 years of experience across multiple commodities. Dale spent over 20 years with Rio Tinto and served as its COO for the Rio Tinto Iron Ore Department and GM of Rio Tinto's Remote Operations Centre in Perth, where he was responsible for the rollout of the Lean Six Sigma improvement program. Dale has held multiple senior roles and was recently a director of global engineering group Hatch. As COO of EcoGraf, Dale is responsible for leading the team developing the world-class Apanko graphite project in Tanzania, and in addition to that, the development of the downstream battery anode material business. Welcome, Dale.
Thank you, Anna. Special welcome to all of the delegates, particularly those that have travelled from Tanzania and the government representatives of the government of Tanzania. It's not an easy place to get to, Perth, from Africa at the moment. Hopefully some recent changes at Qantas might rectify that situation. Okay. Okay, thank you. So look, firstly, I obviously draw your attention to our customary disclosure. If you're interested in reading that in more detail, it is available on our website. EcoGraf is building a vertically integrated business to service the strong demand in graphite battery anode material. This is, of course, a function of the global shift away from fossil fuels towards renewable energy sources, and the role batteries will increasingly play in powering our electric vehicles and providing firming capacity to our power grids. We have three key planks to our business. That is extract, upgrade and recycle. In Tanzania, we are developing a world-class graphite mine and concentrator at Apanko. And we have further optionality in Tanzania as well with our Merilani Arusha project, which we're also looking at as a long-term development opportunity. Battery manufacturers have exacting chemical and physical specifications for the purified spheronised graphite that goes into the anode. Over a number of years, we've developed our hydrometallurgical purification technology with extensive technical work with a range of partners including Cyro and Ansto here in Australia. We've recently secured funding to support the establishment of a product qualification plant, and that facility will be online in 2024, and that funding has come through the Critical Minerals Development Program. Building on that technology, we are now working to apply our purification process to the task of recycling. Recycling will become increasingly important as growth in battery demand sees a subsequent growth in the supply of end-of-life batteries, and the world needs to deal with that. So recycling provides the opportunity to extract the valuable minerals at the end of life, and that includes graphite. I won't dwell on this slide for too long. I think most people are aware of the high growth expected in lithium-ion battery going forward. What is perhaps less well understood is what this means for graphite. The world needs much more graphite over the coming decades, and it will be increasingly natural graphite that meets the growth in demand. While supply and demand at the moment are relatively balanced, we are on the cusp of a significant supply gap emerging in the not too distant future. And the world needs to respond now to ensure that graphite projects are coming online to address that emerging supply gap. Our Apanko project in Tanzania is development ready. The framework agreement was concluded with the government earlier this year, and it provides the foundation on which we can move forward with confidence. We are pleased to have the Tanzanian government as our partner. The project has been extensively studied with a feasibility study completed in 2017. We had SRK complete an independent engineer's review at the time, and they concluded that all technical areas were appropriately completed by EcoGraf, significantly de-risking development. More recently, we've updated the capital and operating cost forecast for the project, and we've undertaken a value engineering exercise to further optimise the initial development. Following the completion of this work, we announced earlier this year a 22% uplift in the initial capacity of the project. We are currently progressing further studies to assess the full potential of Apunko, with a target of 300,000 tonnes per annum of capacity with future stages of development. And we are looking at further investment in Tanzania, where we are studying the establishment of a manufacturing hub to produce spheronised graphite in Tanzania. I'll talk a bit more about that shortly. So a few photos here. We've got our MD, Andrew Spinks, and our director of our Tanzanian subsidiary, Krista Mahingo, at the Frameworks Agreement signing ceremony earlier this year with the President of Tanzania. It really is pleasing to see Tanzania open for business with strong support from the President, who has publicly stated her aspiration to see Tanzania as a major player in critical minerals. And I think we heard the Commissioner reinforce that earlier today. This is important for Tanzania's economic development. It means export income, and it means high-paying jobs. And it's pleasing to see where we're starting to see investment flow in the resources sector. We've seen majors such as BHP and Shell take positions in significant projects, and this should provide developers, customers and investors with great confidence in Tanzania as a place to do business. On the infrastructure side, we are seeing significant investment in transport and energy, and this will only lend further support to mining companies seeking to develop projects in Tanzania. We see this investment in infrastructure as having a material direct benefit to the Apunko project. There is no doubt that Apunko is a high-quality graphite resource. The grade is good, the strip ratio for our stage 1 development is low, metallurgical recovery is excellent, and the concentrate that's produced is extremely high quality, with a life of mine grade across all flake sizes of around 96%. Earlier this year, we announced a 38% increase in our resource. Our aeromagnetic survey gives us a high degree of confidence that we have scope for significant further expansion of our resource base. To date, we've only drilled 2.15 kilometres along the western deposit, and if we include our PLs to the south of our existing mining lease, we've another 7.35 kilometres that looks extremely prospective. As we speak, we have got the drills on the ground doing some further drilling to the west of our initial stage 1 pit on the western deposit. The value engineering and metallurgical work we did earlier this year has resulted in a significantly simplified flow sheet that further optimises and de-risks the project. The test work supports a design incorporating a single cleaner flotation circuit rather than the previous design which had dual circuits, which significantly improves the operability of the plant while also reducing upfront capital cost. And our work has shown that there's no impact on grade or recovery from making that change. Our mining strategy is focused on mining oxide ore first. This supports the higher production rate initially, and it reduces the upfront capital costs and reduces operating costs. The oxide ore requires minimal drilling and blasting. It's less energy intensive through the process plant and requires less reagents in terms of treatment. Apunko concentrate is high quality. Growth in demand, as we've seen, will be quite strong in the smaller size fractions, supporting growing demand for lithium-ion batteries. However, it's important to note that the coarser size fractions attract a price premium, which will be an important source of value for Apunko. It really is pleasing to see the scale of the investment that's going into infrastructure in Tanzania at the moment. And it is positively impacting Apanko, as I suggested earlier. One example, on the route between Apanko and Dar es Salaam, there's now 80 kilometres of new paved road with new or upgraded bridges. This will support greater efficiencies in inbound and outbound logistics and lower the cost of doing business. A new 220 kV substation at Ifakara has been completed. This will support a 220 kV transmission line into Mahenge, just 8 kilometres from Apanko, and we're currently working with TANESCO, the government utility, on a study for the connection of Apanko into the grid from day one. I would like to say it's worth noting that TANESCO has installed capacity currently of around 1,700 megawatts, and a significant proportion of that is hydroelectric. The new capacity is coming online. There's the 2,100 megawatt Julius Nyerere hydro project under construction, with stage 1 due for completion next year. The grid connection will lower both our operating costs and our carbon footprint. As I mentioned earlier, we have completed a study on establishing a mechanical shaping and micronizing facility in Tanzania. Mechanical shaping is reasonably energy intensive. We're very attracted to Tanzania's green grid and very competitive energy prices. Our life cycle assessment studies indicate that we can reduce CO2 emissions by 20% if we establish this part of the value chain in Tanzania. We also see the opportunity to optimise supply chain logistics as we supply into the global markets from a Tanzanian hub. Dar es Salaam is one of East Africa's major ports, and it's well serviced by international shipping lines. The Tanzanian government is looking to grow its industrial base, and it's offering significant development incentives to establish manufacturing in Tanzania. This is most welcome. Apanko will generate job opportunities for Tanzanians during construction and for decades to come. Our development will be to the highest standards, aligned with IFC performance standards and Equator principles. We are very engaged in the local community, where we are currently updating our relocation action plan in consultation with Apanko village leaders and the District Commissioner's Office. We've got a comprehensive environmental and social management plan in place, which will be further refined as we proceed with front-end engineering design and into project execution. Ensuring Apanko is developed sustainably is a priority for us. We want to see the Apanko community benefit from the development of our project through jobs and education opportunities for decades to come. While the focus of my presentation today has been on the developments in Tanzania, I did want to touch briefly on our downstream battery anode materials proposition. Battery-grade spheronised graphite needs to meet exacting specifications, 99.95% graphitic carbon, and with very tight elemental specifications on the composition of the remaining 0.05%. Our hydrometallurgical purification process has undergone extensive development, and we are pleased to have secured $2.9 million in funding to support the establishment of a product qualification facility in 2024. Following product qualification, our strategy is to develop multiple facilities in key global battery markets. We are progressing engagement with potential customers and partners, and earlier this year signed a cooperation agreement with POSCO, targeting a definitive agreement to, amongst other things, supply battery anode material to them. We are leveraging our proprietary purification process to assess the recovery and reuse of anode materials. We are looking at recycling production scrap from anode cell and battery manufacturing, as well as recycling potential end-of-life battery black mass material. Our push into recycling is supported by legislative developments to promote closed-loop manufacturing systems within the battery supply chain. So just some concluding remarks. The shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy requires the rapid growth in supply of critical minerals, and this includes graphite. Tanzania is open for business, and the President and her government is very focused on ensuring Tanzania captures this opportunity. We are greatly encouraged by the support we are getting at all levels of government. Epanco is a world-class graphite project and it is development ready. EcoGraf is ready to play our part in meeting the challenge of bringing on high-quality graphite supply into a rapidly growing market that we all see ahead of us. Thank you.